ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello there, welcome to CoreTV News for this hour. I am Gift Ogete. The Senate has set up a 7-member ad hoc committee to investigate the recent police invasion of the National Assembly. Senate President David Mark announced the composition of the committee after deliberation in what many of the lawmakers described as a breach of security and sanctity of the legislative complex. The committee is headed by Senator Ahmed Makafi and includes Senators Adegbenga Kaka, Ehige Uzamere, and Atiku Bagudu. Other members are Victor La and Jubrila Bindowo. Earlier, many senators had recounted their experience on the day the police stormed the complex in a bid to stop the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Aminu Tambuwal, from gaining access to the lower chamber. The legislators also ignored partisan consideration to condemn the police action. After an 8-hour-long closed-door session with service chiefs, the Senate has resolved to publicly deliberate on President Goodluck Jonathan's request for extension of emergency rule in the northeastern states of Adamawa, Borno and Yobe. The federal lawmakers had twice met behind closed doors last week, but senators mostly from northern Nigeria refused to back the president's request until service chiefs give an update on the security situation. Chief of Army Staff Kenneth Mimina, Chief of Air Staff Adeshola Amosun, and the Director General of the Department of State Service Itak Bayong on Tuesday briefed the Senate on military operations. Speaking with journalists after the session, Senate spokesman Eyinaya Abaribe said the service chiefs insisted that extending emergency rule would make it easier for troops to flush out insurgents from areas that have been occupied in recent weeks. He ordered that senators were also briefed on some of the challenges the military had been facing in dealing with the insurgency.
Of dealing with the insurgency. The fact that they are capable of dealing with the insurgency means that the Senate will do all in its power to support the Nigerian military so that we can bring this insurgency to a quick resolution. We also found from their briefing that we have some problems which has to do with the troop levels and with the level of equipment and, of course, all the other ancillary problems where you have to fight what we call an asymmetrical war, not a formal conflict. And we're very glad that the military is, at this moment, gearing up itself to be able to deal with this asymmetrical conflict in the northeast of Nigeria. The question of the state of emergency was not what was on the table today. And we are going to also wait until it's brought on the floor of the Senate and we will now discuss it. What the Senate did today was to separate the two questions. Of course, the military continues to insist that they need the state of emergency to be able to conduct operations in a manner that will bring it to a quick resolution. When the Senate now takes the question of state of emergency, of course, you will be there because it will be discussed in open plenary.
Two suicide bombers have attacked a crowded market in Maiduguri, killing scores of people. Eyewitnesses, however, said at least 30 people were killed in the twin explosion at the popular Mande market. Security forces have confirmed the blast, but indicates that it may be too early to know the casualty figure. This is the first bombing incident in Maiduguri in recent times, as most of the insurgent activities had been on the fringes. Borno State government has confirmed that 54 bomb victims are on admission in the aftermath of Tuesday's suicide bombing in Maiduguri. 14 people were critically injured in the incident, while 20 have been discharged from hospital. Executive Secretary Hospital Management Board Salisu Bura disclosed this while briefing Governor Kashim Shettima during his visit to the victims at the hospital. The hospital authorities also noted that 24 bodies were brought to the hospital. Speaking after going round the hospital, Shettima described the bombers as wicked, especially as it targeted women and children. Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola has called on the federal government to provide modern equipment for the police to surmount the security challenges facing the nation. Fashola made the appeal at the commissioning of the reconstructed Area C Police Command in Surulere area of the state. Abiola Luwole's reporters presented from our studios.
About this time 8 years ago, this area was yet to recover from the ruins suffered as soldiers and policemen had on October 4th, 2006 dropped their obligations to service to engage in fierce battle which claimed some lives and several property worth millions of naira. This newly constructed police formation was one of the property that suffered a deadly fate. The new edifice, according to Fashola, symbolizes the vision of his administration for the police. He, however, called on the federal government to provide modern equipment for the police to enable them cope with their professional duty of protecting lives and property.
It is important to remind ourselves that this is not a state responsibility. This is the responsibility of the federal government. I believe that our law enforcement deserve much more than we have given them. In a country that produces oil, in a country that has 170 million people, that has businesses, that has human resource and natural resource, I think we need to give more to law enforcement agents if we are serious about protecting democracy, if we are serious about developing business, because it is only in a secure environment that investment will settle and investment will thrive.
The Inspector General of Police Sulaiman Abba, represented by Deputy Inspector General of Police Maman Safi, says the edifice will surely motivate the police to do more.
I challenge the police that this edifice is to enhance your service delivery, is to improve on your own performances. You have seen the level of acceptability because a government is ready to do this because you are accepted. So you are challenged. It's over to you now to respond to these challenges. We have so many and we have to be committed to the service of our country.
The police are expected to put the new structure to judicious use.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has devalued the naira by 8.38% in response to falling oil prices. Consequently, the official exchange rate of the naira to the dollar has jumped from 155 to 168 naira. In addition, the CBN raised the monetary policy rate to 13% from 12% for the first time in over a year. Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele told journalists at the end of a two-day Monetary Policy Committee MPC meeting that the decision to lower the value of naira is meant to strengthen the currency.
The current situation demands that the bank confronts the issue of declining external reserves head-on in order to strengthen the value of the domestic currency. Consequently, stabilizing prices and maintaining exchange rate stability and charting a sustainable path for medium to long-term growth are the immediate top priorities. Committee remains committed to these in order to sustain the credibility of our policies and anchor the expectations of our core stakeholders. Having considered all the issues above, the committee decided that A. 9 members voted to increase the monetary policy rate to 13%, while 2 members voted to retain the monetary policy rate at 12%. Substantial currency depreciation has occurred in comparator all exporting countries, but the naira has depreciated by only 1.74%. At the interbank segment, the naira depreciated by 1 naira 75 kobo or 1.06% to the to 165.55 naira to the dollar from 163.8 naira to the dollar. In the same vein, the exchange rate depreciated by 1 naira or 1.19% from 169 naira to the dollar to 170 naira to the dollar at the Bureau d'Echange segment.
Work has commenced at the Abuja Centenary City project, which Nigerian government officials insist will enhance the country's position as the largest economy in Africa. The developers say the project, which is to cost $18.6 billion or 22.4 trillion naira, is also expected to create job opportunities as well as attract local and foreign investment. The project is private sector driven and has an estimated 10-year completion plan.
It's a master planned city, so it's going to take us a while to build. I would say 10 years plus to build out all the phases of the city. The first phase is the Abuja Hotel and Residences, and that is the first phase. Sure. We will have 87,000 office workers. So those are the jobs that will be created in the office space. In addition to that, we'll have 137,000 residents. I would say a bulk of these will be Nigerians. In our estimates, for every resident, there will be probably 2 or 3 jobs created. So close to about 300,000-400,000 jobs. Mostly local because there'll be 2 stages of job creation. One is construction phase, and once we're finished with construction, in the services sector.
It's CoreTV News on the hour. We'll take a break. Stay with us.
Der Torschütze zum zwischenzeitlichen 1:1. Semenike schickt Musa, da ist Ahmed Musa! Und da ist der Ausgleich!
It's a beautiful Saturday evening in the city of Lagos.
Off the turn, Phelps had it, but then Matsui kept going.
Finals. 5 to shoot. Leonard does.
Sports is concerned, and of course, making a difference for all of us here from all our production crew. Thanks for one pleasure.
Glad to have you stay tuned with us. It's CoreTV News on the hour. Do not forget that you can also reach us on our social media platform. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/CoreTV News. On Twitter at CoreTV News NG. And on YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV_News. The People's Democratic Party is set to screen its presidential aspirant, President Goodluck Jonathan and Abdul Jahil Tafawa Balewa, later today ahead of its primaries. It has consequently named a 10-member presidential screening committee headed by former PDP chairman Ahmadu Ali to carry out the task at its national secretariat in Abuja. Other members of the committee are former Attorney General of the Federation, Chief Bayojo, Alhaji Yarima Abdullahi, Bashir Dal Hatu, Chief Jim Nwogbodo, Professor Stella Ato, Chief Jibrin Martins Kuye, Saudatu Sani, Josephine Aneni, while Olushola Oke will serve as secretary. The party has also set up a presidential appeal committee headed by the national chairman of the party, Amadou Adamu Mwazu, with other members of the NWC as members. The crisis rocking the Ekiti State House of Assembly appears far from over. This time, the 19 APC lawmakers have refused to show up at the Assembly complex contrary to their earlier vow to storm the House on Monday. The lawmakers say the presence of miscreants at the complex is a threat to their lives and unsafe for legislative duties. The PDP lawmakers, however, accused their APC colleagues of negligence of duty. Rashid completes the story.
At a meeting with the Lagos Press last week, the 19 APC lawmakers vowed to storm the Ekiti House of Assembly complex on Monday. This did not materialize even though the APC lawmakers have been spotted around town. This did not, however, go down well with the PDP in the state.
In a situation where you put thugs in the State House of Assembly, where the place has been turned into a den where layabouts now start taking in their hands, such a work environment is not good for us to function as a lawmaker.
The Bible is so clear. It said the guilty are afraid. Has anybody asked them what they have done? Why are they not voted here? Their families are here. Why are they running away? It's only the guilty that are afraid. Let's ask questions from them. Why are they running away?
The witch-hunting label on Governor Ayodele Fayose by the APC lawmakers was also dismissed by the PDP as lacking in fact and utterly baseless.
The drama that we are witnessing now has been written by Fayose himself, and he's just trying to direct it. And the drama is not a good narrative for the socio-economic development of our state.
I don't want to believe that the governor is the one, engineering what is happening in the legislative arm of government currently. No. The legislators have the business to legislate. They can choose their leader. It is their business. It's absolutely their business.
The lawmakers' rift is already assuming a dangerous proportion as accusations fly from both sides of the divide, with the attendant tension on the polity.
The 19 APC lawmakers will not engage negatively in the drama that is going on in the State House of Assembly.
If I'm a member of the House today, and I'm from Ado Ekiti, and I have come back to Ado Ekiti, and I stay in Ereguru where I am from, you think anybody will come and molest me? The boss in my street will rise up against the person.
With the assembly clearly divided and the parties involved spoiling for battle, the drumbeat of war appears lax in the corner. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
Reactions have not ceased to trail last Thursday's siege on the National Assembly by the police, the Ekiti lawmakers' impeachment saga and the invasion of the data office of the APC in Lagos. Chairman House Committee on Public Accounts Solomon Olamilekun Adeola, who also participated in the Abuja show of shame, defended his colleagues' action. He warned the executive arm of government to refrain from interfering with the House of Representatives.
What happened at the National Assembly is an eyesore, because that's a separate arm of government. There are three arms of government: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. The legislature is independent of the executive and the judiciary. And as such, for that siege that has happened, is another arm of government intruding into another arm of government entirely. So, we're able to checkmate that. We're able to tell Nigerians that democracy has come to stay and it has come to stay for good. And it is not something that will be subverted by any single individual, whosoever his or her position is in this country. House of Representatives, which was the main focus, is a house of one big family. We are together. A lot of defection has happened in recent past, and nothing has been done. This was not different from any other defection. And as such, the court has said, let the status quo remain. And it is only the court that can interpret what or who can differ from one party to the other. And until that is done, the status quo remains. But on this very, very sound note, the executive should stay clear of the legislature.
The People's Democratic Party has said it will no longer condone what it described as unwarranted and sustained vicious attacks on President Goodluck Jonathan by the opposition All Progressives Congress (APC. It, however, did not say what action it would take if the anti-Jonathan matrix persists. The party spokesman Olisa Metu said in a statement that the attacks showed that the APC neither has an agenda nor an alternative to what it has been criticizing. He described PDP stands on issues as decent, in contrast to what he says are threats of violence emanating from the opposition party. The Congress Committee of the People's Democratic Party has concluded what it described as statutory election of 735 Lagos delegates of the party to its forthcoming National Congress. Chairman of the committee, Adamu Waziri, briefed the media in Lagos on how the party arrived through a combination of mutual consensus and election to choose the delegates.
We have conducted the election that will provide the PDP with an arsenal of 735 delegates from Lagos that would come up through the direct primary election, in addition to what we know as the statutory delegates made up of elected members of the PDP in the state legislature, in the national legislature, and in various levels of leadership in our party. For Lagos, I don't know the number, but these are what are called statutory delegates. These 735 we have elected. The vacancy to fill the 735 have been contested. In many instances, there had been what we consider consensus and mutual agreement about the 3 delegates per ward. In some other instances, the party members and women decided to cast their votes by queuing, by raise of hand, to choose the 3 delegates. Out of the 735, we have been able to attain almost 95% success this time around.
It's CoreTV News on the hour. We'll take another break and be back with stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned with us. It's CoreTV News on the hour. Crowds have rallied across the U.S. to protest against Monday's decision not to charge a policeman over the killing of a black teen Michael Brown. Demonstrations from New York to Seattle were mostly peaceful, but rioting broke out in Oakland, California, in and around the St. Louis suburb of Ferguson, scene of major riots on Monday. 2,200 National Guard troops were deployed to stop further unrest. The white officer who killed Mr. Brown there says he has a clean conscience. Darren Wilson shot the 18-year-old on the 9th of August, sparking weeks of unrest in the Missouri town. Many in Ferguson's predominantly African-American community had called for the officer to be charged with murder, but the grand jury's decision means the police officer will not face state criminal charges over the shooting. Lawyers for Mr. Brown's family denounced the grand jury's decision as unfair, while condemning the violence that followed the decision. Protesters carried signs saying "Black Lives Matter." They chanted "Hands up, don't shoot," a reference to claims by some witnesses that Mr. Brown had his hands raised when he was shot. In Oakland, in the San Francisco Bay Area, rioters vandalized police cars and businesses in the center during a second night of unrest in the port city of 406,000 people. And that's our news for this hour. Thanks for staying on with us. Join us again. I am Gift Okete.